For me, it's not an all or nothing. It's not as black and white as that. Um, what I mean by that is, like every game, we have to pick pick our moments to open up and to push our outside backs up, to keep balance. Balance, in a soccer game is really important. How much you risk versus how much you protect. It's always really important. Obviously, this team, Philadelphia scoring 8 goals and beating two really good teams in Orlando and Cincinnati, they've shown that they have firepower, and they do it with their work rate, their press, their transitions. So we talked a lot about that this week. We worked a lot on that this week. It's important that in the open game that they play, a little bit the chaotic game that they play, which they thrive in, it's important that we find calm and we find the right moments to control the game without the ball, in setting our lines and being compact, and then with the ball, in keeping the ball and not letting this game become a really open transitional game too much.
I was talking with Lori Lindsay about the new attacking front you guys have, and I was asking her for her opinion on chemistry, and she said the talent is there, the roles are there. It just comes down to when that chemistry starts to click. Yeah. As a coach, what's your role in making sure those guys up front are starting to gel, and how do you get it to happen, obviously, as quickly as possible?
Yeah, I think like that. You just need time and confidence, and the first two games, some of the lack of chances and goals comes down to the circumstances of the games. I said that. When you're on the road, opening game, home opener for Nashville, it's important that you maintain balance and that you start with a good defensive plan. And then going against Columbus, it's the best attacking team in the league. I believe they scored the most goals over the last 2 years. So you can't get into an open game, versus Columbus. Otherwise, you give up 9 goals like we did last year. So we weren't going to make that same mistake. So we need to, of course, open up a little more to create more. I think you'll see us do that. But the circumstances of the first 2 games meant that we needed to craft a plan where it was going to be a very tight game. And, we're proud of the fact that we only gave up 1 goal in, the 2 games. If we give up 17 goals on the year, we'll be okay. But we understand to win, we've got to score goals. So we will get that balance right. I think when you get the first goal, sometimes the floodgates open up. And all of a sudden now things become a little easier and the confidence grows and comes. And I'm really, really confident that will happen here soon, hopefully in this game. It just takes 1 goal to open the floodgates.
So I guess something from your standpoint is probably managing multiple perspectives at once in terms of the short term of trying to get results here and now, but long term trying to keep your eye on the bigger picture in the season. I guess with the first 2 games, there have been improvements, but obviously there hasn't been a win yet. So I guess how do you kind of from managing players' perspective, maybe keep them into good habits while at the same keeping them bought in, even if in the short term the results haven't been exactly as you may have wanted?
Yeah. I mean, they'll be bought in. They believe in the process. They believe in what we're doing. They came here, most of them, for that, and they like the work. The work's been good, and they understand because they're footballers. They understand that sometimes the results, aren't there. Obviously, we got a result in the first game, and we were very close to getting a result in the second game against one of the best teams in the league. A little more luck there, it would have been a draw at least. So. But also, it's important to be objective. We try to create a culture with our players where there's honesty and there's truths and there's not fluff. And so, I'm an honest guy, and I try to call a spade always. And the message has been to them very similar to what it's been to you. We've been defending really well, but we do need to create more chances. But we can't be tense. We can't be trying too hard, so to speak. We need to try easy, and it will come. We have good players. We have players that can score goals, and it's not a negative that we've defended well. but for sure we have to create more and we have to score goals. We understand that, but we're calm about it, and it always goes for me back to the perspective that we have. So the perspective is there from the standpoint of who we played and how we played in those games and what we need to do, and then it goes back to the most important thing is the process. Okay, and how do we improve? How do we fix it? And how do we play better in the attack to score goals and to win the next game?
Yeah. And then just one follow-up on Peyton Miller. Obviously, he hasn't featured yet this year.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me if you were asked about this earlier in the week, but I don't know if there's an update yet on maybe his status looking ahead to Saturday.
Yeah, he's coming along. I think it's been a little over 3 weeks now. We're hopeful that he will start to progress back into training next week, and then hopefully we can start to work him in, games. But right now he's probably a week away.
Because I know he's, as you mentioned before, left back in your system, especially as the roster maybe is constructed currently, is pretty.
Yeah, because with the way we're playing, that left back's a really key attacking piece and a key player in creating width on that left side. And for sure in the first 2 games without a left back, we haven't been able to create enough there. I think Will Sands, when he went into the game, you saw it was a little bit better, and then with Peyton, he's got pace as well, and he's really good in the final third. So it's all connected. I'm not saying it's one thing. The left back is just automatically going to solve everything, but it does help. And for me, it's all connected. And the better we create on the left, then it opens up chances on the right. So, there are a lot of little things that we talked about this week with individual players, small group players, and then the entire team. And with training and video and discussions, whether it's just asking Luca Langoni to make sure he understands his greatest strength is to run behind. He's at his best when he's running behind. Like the very first action that we got in the match, which is a really good opportunity where we broke them through their pressure and he's in behind and, we're a touch off from a slide and a score. That's his game, so we need him to do that. We need the left back for sure to get more width, more crosses. We need still our build up to progress a little quicker and more vertical to goal. There's a lot of little things. And so, with time, going back to the process and training, it will come to life.
Coach, of course I don't expect you to share a lot, but can we expect a similar lineup to what we saw last week, maybe with a difference on the left back, or it's going to have some changes, at least for this week?
Yeah, for me, there'll be some micro tweaks. I don't think we need major tweaks, but you'll see there'll be a couple little tweaks. Whether that's a few little personnel tweaks that we think will just bring some things to life a little bit better. You'll see a few of those. Yeah. 100%. And then I think as far as, just again, what we're training and what we're pushing in training, there have been a few adjustments this week. What we can't do, though, is now all of a sudden create 1 million chances and then give up 1 million. So it's like you just have to be smart. And so I believe in micro tweaks. And, the analogy I always use is, you shoot the gun, you miss the target. You can't move the target. You got to move the gun. So we're moving the gun subtly to hit the target better next time.
And Matt Poster wasn't one of the in the warm-ups. Can you just give him an update on him? And also Tommy Chankala, he scored 2 headers on that Ultimate TV.
Yeah.
How is he coming along?
Yeah, both really good. Obviously, Matt, is going to be available to, start to be available for minutes. Chankala still with the timeline of his ACL is still a ways away. I don't want to say too far, but it's probably a month away. Just from with an ACL, there's some hard timelines that you have to get through for recovery. I think if you asked him, and you watch him like today, you'd think he's ready. But the reality with an ACL is, it's pretty much a hard 12 months. You know, that's the timeline these days. Used to be when I was playing ACLs, you'd come back in 6 to 8, but they've backed off from those timelines, and they've seen that there's been too many re-injuries when you come back too early. So we have to progress him along the right way and make sure that when he's back, he's not risking re-injury. I feel like Matt is close. You know, he'll be full out in training. He was full out in training today. He'll be full out in training tomorrow. But you know, he's been out, you know, nearly 4 weeks. So we'll have to work him back in slowly.
And Caleb, you talked about, you know, maintaining that sense of calm ahead of the game. What's the energy been like in training this week from the guys and heading into Saturday?
Yeah, really good because we are confident and we do have a good team. So I think, you know, sometimes I can tell the guys whatever I want to tell them, right? But at the end of the day, they know if they're good and they know if they're going to score goals, and they know if they're going to win. And I think no matter what I tell them, they understand the reality. We're a good team, and they're good players. And so I think it's easy for me to be honest with them and tell them we'll be fine, you know, and it's easy for them to be calm and have a good energy because we know we have a good team.
Frank, we'll go to you next, followed by Sam. Frank?
Hi, Kelly. Philly's another team that has been together for a while, so you can see their strength going forward. So it's kind of a general question. How do you go about breaking them down?
Yeah, I mean, you got to break their pressure, you know. So sometimes when you think about creating chances, it's about, you know, breaking down a block that's low. But with the way they play, it starts with breaking their high press, and that's a real key, you know, with their philosophy. And Bradley, you know, was at Red Bull, so there's a lot of elements of Red Bull philosophy in how his team plays. And so a big part of, you know, being effective against that philosophy is breaking the press in the right way. If you just go too direct all the time, that's not good. They like that. They just head the ball 30 yards back at you. You know, they're ready for that because they know that teams go direct. If you're also really stubborn and overplay too much, they love that too because they're flying around and foaming at the mouth to press you on short passes. So it's really important that you find a balance and a mix and a variety in how you kind of break that.
Last question from Sam. Sam, you're unmuted now.
Hello, Caleb. Hope you're doing well. I just wanted to ask about Alaz Ivacic. Obviously, he kind of suffered that injury in the last game, but he was able to stay in the match. And, you know, after the match in the locker room, said that he dislocated his finger and had it popped in, back in. Just overall, what's it say of him as a player that he wanted to stay in the match? And just overall, what has he meant to the club since coming to New England?
Yeah, he did dislocate his finger. They popped it back in. Obviously, it was still really sore and it was really swollen after the game. But the fact that he was tough enough to stay in there and wanted to be in, you know, just shows how hungry he is to help the team and, you know, how bad he wants to do well, you know, for the supporters and for the club. After the game, it got pretty swollen. We backed him off in training for, you know, kind of a limited for a couple days, and then he was full out today. It's really important that there's a psychology that comes back into his mind where he's not tentative, you know, looking to try to make saves. And so he was full out today and full out. He'll be full out tomorrow. So we think he'll be good to go.
Thank you, Caleb.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Coach.
Take care, guys. And girls.
Coach, have you watched